Party Parliamentary Group has released its latest report called An Inquiry into the Prevention of Eating Disorder Deaths. The 68-page report includes data and case studies supporting the calls to action the party want to see. Some recommendations include the regulation of NHS and private eating disorder services, mandatory training for all NHS staff, and a confidential inquiry into all eating disorder deaths. MPs Richard Quigley and Wira Hobhouse have been lobbying for these issues in Parliament and today spoke at the event, before being swiftly reminded to vote on a separate issue by the voting bell itself.
Now we also see the physical effects of starvation symptoms compounding already COVID conditions.
I spoke with APPG's Secretariat and Dump the Scales founder, Hope Virgo, who has been campaigning to change the lives of those impacted by eating disorders.
We went to Downing Street to drop off our petition and are now hosting an event in the evening where we want to bring basically MPs, stakeholders together to talk about why we need to be making sure that people with eating disorders are not dying. I was turned away from services back in 2016 for not being underweight enough, and when that happened to me, I then realised that actually this isn't just something that happened to me, it happens to so many thousands of people. And now what we're seeing as well is people being turned away from services for not being sick enough, and also people being turned away from services for being too sick. And so for me, kind of making this change has become just, an essential part of what I do. We know with eating disorders that people have a genetic predisposition to develop an eating disorder. They then go into an energy deficit, which could be caused through restriction of food. It could be just due to malnourishment of your brain. It could be through excessive exercise, not fueling your body in the right way. And that then causes maladaptive behaviours, which could be things like calorie counting, concerns around body image, kind of all of that really rigid thinking. And we want people to realise that actually when you start to reverse that malnutrition of the brain, so stop your brain being starved, people at that point are more likely to make a full recovery and want to make a full recovery. And I think so much of the time at the moment, what we know is that people with eating disorders aren't having that opportunity given to them to recover because they're getting discharged from services when their BMIs are still too low, when they're not having their brain completely rewired with the right nutrition. And for us, changing that is a crucial part of this, again, to make sure that people aren't dying.
I spoke with Ken, who lost his daughter Jade after she was deemed too sick for treatment, and asked what he thought could be done differently to help her.
Because of the pressure the NHS units are under, the eating disorder units, they never get inside, or they never got inside Jade's head. They're only interested in getting them up to a healthy weight and then discharge them back into the community. And I think if Jade had had more treatment of that kind, maybe things would be different.
Families such as Ken's are why the group are campaigning for previous deaths to be reviewed.
We want it to be documented going backwards. A lot of families are fighting to kind of get answers when they've lost loved ones. This goes back decades and decades. And we want to change that for them, but also make sure that moving forward, that actually deaths are getting recorded in the right way, that people are getting the right support, and also making sure that when someone does die, there are answers given immediately, so families aren't having to then go and chase for those answers. Currently, the existing mental health bill is being looked at to modernise it, but only time will tell if today's efforts have been truly reflected in that act.